Hi, I'm David for with EV World News. We talk about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. And I'm here today with our founder and chief editor, Bill Moore. How's it going today, Bill?
I am fine, thank you for asking.
All right. Well, today I decided because there's so many articles on this topic, we were going to call it "Let's Hate on Hate on Elon Musk Day." I
Well,
mean,
it seems that way. Before we went on the air, I mentioned that this morning I posted 89 story links to the RS stream on the evworld.com website, which is our RSS feed. And of those 89 stories, I think 37 of them have to do with something involving Tesla and Elon Musk and the Trump administration and all that. And I would say that the majority of them are negative. Everything from collapsing sales of Teslas in Europe, the drop in sales of Teslas in California, to people wondering, hey, I don't have to abide by FCC rules. What the hell is going on with Elon and the federal government, right? I mean, as I'm sitting here, I've got my little iPad sitting next to me, and Jamie Raskin's was being interviewed this morning on this thing. What's going on? Is he just there to help improve the efficiency of the government, or is he there to assist in destroying the democracy of the United States?
well, certainly an interesting thought. I mean, people knew he was going to be part of this, and the people voted
Well,
for this.
that's a question that we could get off into. Is
Mhm.
Was this election in fact actually stolen? But we won't go there because I don't know all that much about it other than the headlines I see every now and then from sort. No, so let's talk. I mean, yeah, we've got this guy, in the Oval Office, who couldn't pull off the original coup in 2020, so now he's back in 2025 with a more subtle coup in my view. So
Well, I don't know if I would call it that, but it is really wild to see some of the stuff that's going on. I mean, for a lot of people, seeing some of the things that are going on in Washington right now, there are things a lot of us have like dreamed of for years that we never really thought was possible, like closing the USAID office. I mean, not that I ever thought about that particular department in general. I mean, I've sold things to the USAID program before, so I'm
yeah, well,
familiar with it to a degree, but I was always like confused because I was selling computer products to Yasser Arafat's nephew, who was then reselling them to countries or providing them to countries in the Middle East under USAID. Now, Arafat's nephew lived in the United States. He lived in Washington, D.C.
okay.
Okay. And I used to joke, "Don't come to my office. Don't just show up. Don't announce yourself. I don't want Mossad here destroying our office while you're here or anything like that." You know,
Oh Lord,
but
yeah.
in reality, we were generally we were getting a lot of products directly from Israel, and we were selling them to him, and he was selling them to USAID. It wasn't a huge amount, but I think we were a significant supplier for that particular guy and his contracts with the U.S. government. And
Mm, yeah,
but
yeah. Well, you
I
had
remember
more
selling products to the
direct
Iraqi
connection with.
army. Yeah, after the U.S. invaded Iraq, I remember selling um, software that was being sold to the Iraqi army.
Hmm,
That was basically being rebuilt by the United States.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just like some of it always just seemed a little confusing, but whatever. And I think that's a big part of some of this. But anyways, so your first article was one from Vox. Now Vox is pretty left leaning. Okay,
Hmm.
so we'll throw that because that was one. It said that that we did a previous story where Vox said the Norwegians aren't being green enough by converting to EVs fast enough. They need to just take the bus. Okay. So I remember that story. It's like, hey, who cares if they're all driving EVs? They need to stop and just drive electric buses and not even drive electric cars. And I thought, man, that's really we always praise Norway for being so far ahead of everybody else. And you know, you know, or just walk. I mean, it was really kind of funny. But anyways, Vox, Musk's growing influence over the government's digital infrastructure raises concerns about privacy and overreach. So apparently, and I don't know how far they get into this, Musk has brought in some savants, some young savants that are using AI to try to look for things that are outside of the ordinary in government spending.
Hmm.
And so they're
Which,
trying to
which,
aggregate.
yeah, which I don't have a problem with that. You know, as I've mentioned, I think before, I'm right now I've got a book on tape that I listen to when
Mhm.
I walk when the weather lets me, called the oh, come on now. Um, Now the name escapes me, but it has to do with, it's a very thorough documentation of the history of the Central Intelligence Agency, and they have done a really good job of whitewashing themselves over the years. Because what really what goes on behind the curtain is disgusting. And so yeah, so I could see where, there's been a lot of fraud going on, a lot of waste, a lot of stuff being covered up. Well, for example, the current administration wants to release more of the JFK assassination, information that's been locked up for 60 years.
Man, I wonder how weird that's going to get.
So before we came on the air, I was, getting cleaned up, or trying to get a little cleaned up, and listening to an interview with Ross Coulthart is doing with a guy named Josiah Tompkins, who's just, in fact, I just ordered the book, The Last Second in Dallas, which he goes through, and he says that there were a total of 5 shots from at least 2 shooters and maybe 3. Uh, and it wasn't. We've had this discussion before. It wasn't Lee Harvey Oswald from the 5th floor of the book depository. It was a hit team. At least that's his conclusion. And from what little, I mean, I've got some books on the shelf about the assassination, and so I don't believe the government story either. And there probably a lot of Americans don't believe
Well,
the
I don't believe it on the Martin Luther King assassination either.
right. Yeah. Well, you were from Memphis, right? You worked in Memphis.
Yeah. Oh, no, no. I've had, I've talked to witnesses, or I've talked to people who were assigned to guard Martin Luther King from the sheriff's department, or I'm sorry, from
Yeah.
the Memphis Police Department, who I
Yeah.
later was a deputy sheriff with. And they told me their own stories, and they didn't think that the guy, I can remember the guy's name. He died in prison in Nashville about
Right.
15 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
But anyways, they didn't think that guy really did it.
No.
It was really pretty wild to think
So so
about.
the so the question is, who did, right? And
Yeah,
and what
well,
and was it organized crime? Uh, was it the FBI? Because we know J. Edgar Hoover kept a extensive file on Martin Luther King. That I guess if it were totally all revealed, would not paint as nice a picture of that. The man was a human being. So
there
let's
was a
let it
U.S.
go at that.
Army like sniper team that was training on the rooftops at Memphis on the same day.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah. There you
seems
go.
highly likely that one of those individuals was probably the real shooter,
Yeah,
but speculation,
we,
right?
we don't know. Right. So,
We'll never know. But the CIA, the thing with Kennedy, though, that they keep locking this up, that tells you that people who could be implicated are still alive. And I don't know.
well,
You really
yeah.
wonder how bad it's going to shake up
Well,
government.
I don't know if yeah, okay. I was alive. I was a teenager, when in high school when the news came across, the radio and they let all the students know. So yeah, I'm still alive, but I'm aging, and most of the people alive today weren't alive then. So I mean, as this Thompson guy pointed out, that has been really the catalyst for all of the uncertainty and questioning and doubt, in the honesty of the federal government. And that's led us now to this point to where, we get this private group of teenagers, right, and 20 somethings in there, rooting through. Now, supposedly all they have is read capability. But then I've seen
Mhm.
others suggesting that these kids are building back doors into the data system and, don't know, and so do we really want those kids? Yeah, do we want to find out who killed Kennedy? Do we want to find out, the truth behind a lot of these things that have led to all this doubt in the federal government? I don't know
Mhm.
if I want Elon Musk doing that, but then who else has got the talent to call on to do something like that? Sam Altman, maybe, but then,
Yeah, I get it. I
Google.
get it. Um, it's interesting to see though what they're trying to do with AI. I mean, if so, the IRS has started using AI to go as opposed to just having individuals screen tax returns, and what they look for is if you have deductions that are outside the norm for your income
Right, right.
range as a percentage of your income. And so when that happens, it gets flagged for further inspection. And then you start getting letters
Yeah.
asking you to verify that you really did stuff and that kind of thing. And Musk is essentially trying to do the same thing with the federal government.
Yeah.
And he's basically trying to use AI to screen. I mean, um, from what I understand, they've cut over $1 billion a day. Now, what was Trump's only been in office for what day was he? Was it the
He's
20th?
15 days. 15
Yeah,
days.
15 days, and they've cut over $1 billion a day
Well,
in
have
the
they
days that
really?
he's been in there.
Have they
I'm pretty
really?
sure they have. I don't know.
Do they
I don't
have
know.
the First of all, do they have the authority to do that? Because these are unelected officials. These are kids, right? Who have come in
Mhm.
here and they've
Okay,
set up
so
this.
they can't do that. No, no, no. I've
They,
watched on
yeah,
this. They cannot do anything. Musk has to get somebody that's appointed in the administration that can execute these things that are happening.
that will roll over and play dad for him.
There you go. I mean, you can look at it any way you want, but all I
Yeah,
know is somebody else has to actually approve that action. He can't approve
yeah,
anything. He's just listed as a special government employee who's working for free for less than a year.
yeah,
And
right.
I would give it the concern here on Vox was that are they somehow sorting through everybody's privacy and all that. But lots of government employees can sort through all kinds of crap.
Oh, sure.
It's just like the stuff at the IRS. People get in trouble because they're looking at stuff they're not supposed to be looking at that are employees there. But sometimes stuff gets
If
out all the
if
same.
it Yeah, if it brings transparency and honesty across the board to government, hey, I'm all for it. And if AI can assist in that process, more power to it. Now, I do a lot of work here lately, the last few months, using AI chatbots.
Hmm.
And believe me, they are not foolproof. I catch them. For example, just the other day, I caught him. One of the AI saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was hallucinating." It said that. It's. I'm sorry, I guess I was hallucinating because it said I was looking for somebody who had some expertise in Mayan. I think it was Mayan archaeology or something like that.
Hmm.
And it listed these two people. It said these are the two people. I said, okay, so tell me what books what books they published and things. Go, I can look it up. And it comes back and says, and it says, I'm sorry, I can't find that person. I think I'm hallucinating. And so I gave it the second name. I said, I'm sorry, I was hallucinating. I said, okay, I don't know whether this AI business is all it's cracked up to be. It
Well,
can't,
I
it
sure.
can't, it can't. I'm working on some coding, right, for what's called A-frame technology to do augmented reality. And so I give it code, and one will do this, and won't work, and another will, well, maybe kind of works. Another one just totally blows it off, totally. So I don't know how far. This is of course consumer grade AI, and of course I guess now we're starting to find out that deep seek isn't all deep seek was cracked up to be, right? That there actually is a hell of a lot more money was invested in it than the what $30 thing, whatever they were talking about originally. So
Mhm.
I don't know. So I'm going to hold my approval on the use of AI in scouring government records. But if they can come up with people, I mean, we know Congress people have that pulled all kinds of crappy fraud. We've got what is the guy that's the senator from Florida who pulled all kinds of Medicare fraud in Florida and is sitting in the U.S. Senate. You know, so yeah, we need to get that kind of, I'm going to say it, shit out of there. Okay, we need to get that out of there. But I don't know whether it's Elon Musk and his gang of infant musketeers that I want doing that.
No, I get that. I get that. But who would you want doing it? I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, at some point, our government finances with all the spending and the deficits and all that, something's got to give. I mean, the government can't go bankrupt, right? I mean, other
No.
governments have, but the U.S. government goes bankrupt, it's catastrophic for the whole planet. So trying to figure out a way to fix things now
Yeah.
makes a lot more sense,
Yeah.
even though it may be painful. It's like canceling all of your subscriptions to everything all at once. And all of a sudden you realize, well, I really did like doing that, or,
Hmm.
whatever. But
Well, again, like I said, I am not opposed to taking a scalpel to cancers where cancers need to be excised. No problem with that. That be it in the highest levels of our governing body, be it in the Supreme Court, which we know has had some serious issues with its ethics over the last few years. So wherever it is, let's rid it out and let's get an honest. Let's light the candle back on the hill again, right?
right,
Who was that? Was it Reagan used that term about the candle, or was it Bush? Anyway,
I don't
um,
know.
yeah. So let's do that. If it works, again, not opposed, but not sure that doing it in a manner in which it's being done is maybe the smartest way. Maybe that's the only way it can be done, because otherwise, if you give everybody warning, they can button up and hide things, and maybe that was the whole point. Let's sneak in there, Pearl Harbor like, and you know, prevent people from going in there and hiding all the nefarious chicanery that they've been conducting. Don't know.
Well,
But see, there's the problem though, because we don't have that same level of trust that we might have had for the government in the 1950s, right? When I was growing up as a kid.
right.
So, and that all began to erode when we started lying to the American people about who killed the president. And it hasn't improved since then.
It should have eroded when we tried to convince everybody that Polish people were stupid, and that was a good reason that the Soviets controlled them. You know,
Oh,
when you
well,
look at,
I mean,
Poland got violated by the Russians, got violated by the Nazis, then violated by the Russians again, then enslaved by the Russians. The Poles
mhm,
were the only country that was basically on the side of the Allies the whole war,
yeah.
and ended up still
Well,
getting punished and
there
taken
there's a
apart.
there's a town in Virginia called Pulaski, named
Hmm.
after a Polish military figure who helped the Continental Congress and the Continental Army win against the British. So the
Hmm.
we, and did you know this? I think this is correct. John Paul Jones, American naval hero. I think he went over and fought on behalf of the Polish Navy at one point. So,
Yeah.
there's been a, and of course, and who doesn't like a kolache? Come on.
Oh man. Um, so one of the concerns is a lot of government employees feel that their privacy is being invaded by um, Musk's team going in and seeing data. Now,
Well, I
you
think
know,
also the concern was is that they were going into these offices at night on a weekend and rummaging through people's desks.
that
See,
seems like a little bit of a micro solution to a
well, yeah.
macro problem.
So what were they looking for, right? If you
Yeah,
have
I
passwords, if
haven't
you have
heard about
passwords,
that.
yeah, if you have passwords into a computer system at work, you keep all those passwords memorized. No, you generally have them written down somewhere in some form, and that's what they were, supposedly they were looking for was to find the employees' passwords.
My favorite is when somebody wants me to change my password every 3 months. And it's
Uh,
like, you can't use anything that sounds like a password you used before. It's like, come
right?
on, how am I
Yeah,
coming up with this many
yeah.
passwords? Um, but anyways,
You don't want to see my list of passwords. I almost never use the same one twice.
oh, good for you. Good
Yeah,
for you. Mine is more of a threat level. It's like if the worst case is somebody's going to get in and pay my cable bill, you know, I'm
right.
like, I'm not that concerned about that. The cable company thinks it's the biggest deal in the universe, but I'm just like, what are they going to do? They're going to
Yeah.
order me some new channels. I mean, but
So so
that gets a
yeah.
little weird sometimes, but you know what I mean.
Yep. So let's get back to Tesla sales crashing.
Okay.
We got concerns about what Elon Musk is doing with respect to I mean, I've seen headlines, that he is, eroding, and he and Trump are eroding, and the very basis of American democracy. Okay, we've had that discussion. Now let's go on to what all this is doing to sales in Europe. I mean, they're crashing over there. Now that the what there was one headline that posted says yes, it's crashing in, I think it was either Europe or Germany. Maybe it was Germany. It says, but don't blame Trump. Or I'm sorry, don't blame Musk. Um, that apparently that other issues at play here with the state of the German economy, competition from other cars makers, but they're having concerns and problems with the sale of the cars on a global basis.
Well, yeah, the German car market is suffering. Oh, by the way, I've had people show me pictures of an ID Buzz that was over on 84th in Ralston
Oh,
a couple days
so we've
ago.
got some
I've had a
here,
couple
yeah,
people, yeah, I've had a couple people mention, so they must be selling the ID Buzz at the
right,
Volkswagen dealer here locally. Um, but yeah, the German economy or car economy, is really suffering. Volkswagen's laying off all
yeah,
kinds of people,
yeah, yeah,
and but there's a few things related to that. I know that last year the EU saw small EV growth, but Germany wasn't had negative EV growth.
yeah,
It was the
yeah,
one economy that did not have any growth. It actually went negative, where they had fewer
yeah.
electric cars sold.
But
And
but
so that
but
was a little concerning.
yeah, but speaking of Volkswagen, they are introducing now in 2020s. They started showing little sneak peeks of the car. They're introducing a car that in Britain will supposedly sell for less than somewhere in 17,000 pound category, which would be what's that, around 22, something like that. Yeah, there you go. Um, so yeah, we're just so I think I think the car makers are starting to understand that that we're not all rich people that can afford $50,000 automobiles. We got to have something that is a daily runaround that doesn't that more practically fits our budget capabilities. So, oh,
This
is
is
that
the
it?
ID2. Yeah, the ID2.
Oh, all right. Well, that's more of a picture I've seen of it than I have previously. So,
Yeah, it's interesting to see that, and it's really hard to know where they're going to make that. Or, I mean, I know they're going to make it at the Wolfsburg facility in Germany, but what I'm getting at is, are we going to see that here in the U.S.? Will they make they? It'd be
oh
nice
yeah,
if they made that here.
yeah,
The 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 Volvo EX30, which they sold
hmm
100,000 of in Europe last year, and we were
yeah,
expecting it to be a $35,000 EV in the United States. It's
right,
now in the US, but all the ones in the US are 45,000.
yeah.
And so what are we going to see? Are we going
Well,
to see the $35,000 version?
then you take off the $7,500, and it gets it under 40. But still,
I don't think it qualifies. I'm not
oh
100% on that,
yeah, no, that
but
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
because the EV30 is mostly made by Geely over in China.
right.
And they have a new car called the EX90, which is going to be made exclusively in one of the Carolinas. The EX90 is a large SUV that's 3 rows.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I'm just
again,
saying
that
we're seeing the struggle.
yeah.
Um, let's see. So here's another one from the Intelligencer or from New York Magazine. The Doge rampage is also a bailout for Elon Musk. The co-presidency comes with perks. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is really funny. People like to call him the co-president.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess depends on how you look at what's going on. There's certainly, if you are benefiting from government money in a major way, there,
Which Tesla has and
yeah.
SpaceX has
Mhm.
majorly.
Yeah. Well, some of the stuff they found when they were going through, they had found that Politico had received $8 million from the US government as a media organization. And that was kind of concerning because you really wonder, it's like, well, was the administration paying for getting their opinions published?
Positive spin, yeah. Well,
Yeah. And
again, if that's the kind of crap that's going on, let's put an end to that. I don't have a problem with taking and bringing honesty into the government, right?
mhm,
So if they were doing that, or maybe that wasn't what was happening. You know, I mean, I had we had him on. Just what was it? A little over a week ago, we had Jigger on. And Jigger is a good friend of mine, and I knew that Jigger had access. Not that he would. Well, he he had access to lots and lots and lots of money to loan out,
right. 100
and
billion he loaned out.
but I yeah, but I never wanted to approach him about any of my crazy ideas I've had, while he was in that position. I just
Mhm.
didn't feel that that was the thing to do. So that's just me, but
No, I get that. I get that. But and it was interesting that he couldn't do any podcasts or social media while he was the director of the loan program office. That
it,
was quite
but
fascinating.
they have gotten the energy gang together again,
I saw that.
and yeah, and they're going to be start doing podcasts again.
No, I saw him make an announcement about that
Yep,
yesterday.
yep, yep.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll be able to support them a little bit, and maybe vice versa. We'll do some more collaborations because
Right,
that he was
right.
really good to have on here. And it was interesting to hear his opinions. Like his opinions of seniors and plug-in hybrids, if they can find one. Um, it was an interesting opinion about not having to explain supercharging to somebody.
Right. Yeah.
Because it is a little bit to learn about, right?
Yeah.
It is and it isn't, right? It seems pretty simple. You either got CHAdeMO, CCS, NACS. There's probably others, but in the US, it's basically those three.
Right.
and you have to look for one that has that. And then on top of that, you just need to know which one it is and which software your car comes with, right?
Yeah.
So that you can find where to go charge it. So it's really not that complicated, but I get it. And if you're not used to a car that's basically a driving computer, that you have to operate a computer, that could be a little intimidating too.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, it's just
so
like
that,
it's
that
just like me using my Target Red card, right?
Mhm.
Well, I'm just supposed to just go up and I can tap the thing with the card and it'll pay. I don't know how to do that. Yeah, okay, I can stick it in the slot and type in my thing, but all this tapping and not there. It's just not up to speed. And I can see where the same thing applies. Again, I have an EV, but I never charge it anywhere else other than at home. Don't need to.
right.
But then again, I can't drive from here to Denver or Des Moines or Minneapolis or whatever, where I would have to get up to speed on public chargers.
But in reality, you do have a city EV. You
That's the
have one
point.
that's designed to just be
And the
for
interest,
local commuting.
right? Yeah. And the interesting thing is that I saw a statistic that something like 80+% of EV owners in the United States have a second gas powered car,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Because
Hmm.
either you want it because you need a second car because you got teenagers, you got a wife that works, or whatever, um, and you also want it as that. In our case, with my my Prius, how old is it? 2009 Prius. So do the math, right? Um, Still works fine, still looks good. It's got only 70,000 miles on it. Why get rid of it? Other than I periodically have to go out and put a trickle charger on it, just so I don't have to, which I had to do about 3 times because I wasn't trickle charging it. And we weren't driving it, so I had to replace the battery. But just every couple weeks, put a trickle charger on it, keep the 12-volt up to charge. But the rest of the time, all our driving is in that sweet little Fiat.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Well, I remember us discussing the average EV owner in the United States or household with an EV owns 2.5 cars.
Oh, I would believe it.
Yeah, and in Europe, it's 1.5 cars.
Yeah.
So they're only 50% likely to also have a gas car as well. But in the US, there's you know, a really, really good chance that they also have a gas car. Well, this is kind of an interesting opinion, Dennis. When do you think people will realize Tesla car business was only to gather data? That is a huge part of their business. And, from
Hmm.
everything from to make it for the self-driving, they sell data to insurance companies. There's a whole lot of uses for that data that one might not expect. Obviously, there's uses for it for GPS, but the big one is for the self-driving.
Yeah.
And,
Have you heard
so
the latest?
well, what's
With
that?
the insurance, you can buy Tesla will sell you insurance at a rate
Mhm,
less than apparently the competitor. I'm assuming this is regulated by state because typically that's always a
mhm.
state regulatory issue. But to get the cheaper insurance, you have to use the full service, full self-driving.
Wow.
You have to promise to drive full drive, and if you do, then we'll give you the cheaper insurance rate. That's the latest.
So somebody yesterday was telling me about one of their neighbors that has a Cybertruck here in Omaha. Um,
Mhm.
it only drives it on FSD. Said they just put in where they're going, put in the address, and let the car take them.
Well,
And
and that's
I didn't realize that was going on. I thought we still were at a driver assisted level where you have to touch the steering wheel occasionally still.
well, they're. I don't know, and if you can get your friend to tell us where the person is, let's go knock on the door and go for a ride. No, that they're, but they're at the same time. one of those 89 stories I posted this morning is
Hmm.
a guy who was in full self drive in his Cybertruck, and they were in and caused a major automobile series of crashes, automobile accident. So, sure, I'm gonna, go with that. Okay, so Dennis said, nope, you don't have to hold or touch the steering wheel.
Okay.
Okay, you're braver than I am. I don't know.
I've only used an older one. The annoying feature now is that it forces you to look ahead. Okay, got it.
Because what? Because it's got a camera in there and it's tracking your
It's looking at your
eye
eyes.
movement and
Looks at your
things. Yeah.
eyes. Yeah. Yeah. I think I was telling you, one of my friends had every now and then he lets other, well, he has other family members that drive the car and he'll get into FSD jail. It's called because he'll get in the car and they were driving on an FSD without looking, and they get like he gets like a 2 week suspension or something like
Oh
that every now
no,
and then.
really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I don't know who in his family's doing it, but yeah, it's what Dennis is talking about. You're supposed to be watching the road, but he likes
Oh
to. I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I don't know how he works with this because he likes to do other work while he's going down the road, and so who knows?
Sure.
And he's got
You know,
200,000 miles on his X,
yeah.
and most of that's interstate driving. So yeah,
Well,
it's not
that
local
would make
driving.
that would because I don't make long distance trips anymore, but some of the trips I did make, it would have been nice to be able just to their car, you take over, you drive it, and I'll sit down and I'll get some work done, or I'll call the family. Of course, you can do that now. I mean, I do that with my Fiat now, but um, yeah, I can see people doing that. What you don't want is to have somebody come alongside you and snap photographs or take video of you snapping while the car's going down the road at 65 miles an hour.
Yeah, the inside camera's filters that look through sunglasses. That's pretty amazing. That's some amazing tech, isn't it?
Oh,
Um, well,
a
they're
little
trying to make it
scary,
safe.
actually. A little scary.
All right. Well, we promised people we'd get on here and we'd hate on Musk a little bit. Um, let's see. Elon Musk promises to make Tesla great again. Investors are buying it for now. It's funny though, the car sales went down, but he's so hyping up AI,
Hmm.
self-driving, and other parts of Tesla, um, that the stock still went up a bit. But I was looking to see where Tesla's at, and in the past month, Tesla's down 10%
Hmm.
since the 6th of last month, because it's down from like $411 to 369. So that's
Yeah.
a pretty sizable drop, but it had popped up to like for a bit, it had gone up, and
Well,
it's not doing as well right now.
yeah, not like my cryptocurrency. Holy,
No.
what did they since the inauguration, the crypto market has dropped something like $500 billion.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
I did not realize that. I know
yeah,
um like Bitcoin's been pretty flat, but it had shot up to like 105, 106,000,
yeah.
and
Not
it's back down
anymore.
to 96. Yeah,
Yeah, yep,
but
yep.
I think it'll keep going up. The thing with Bitcoin is, as more and more countries mention that they're going to accept it, and we've had some things where banking regulations are going to allow banks to deal in it now.
Right. Yeah.
Um, I don't know, you're going to see some things, uh, you know,
Yeah. Oasis amps. Yeah.
well, it depends
Dropping
on
like
what
a
you're in.
stone. Yeah.
Are we talking
Well,
XRP here, or which one we talking?
pretty much across
I know
the
Bobby has talked about a couple of others. Yeah,
let's see.
waiting for the government regs to go mainstream.
Right.
Yeah, but as we see more and more of that in different countries,
Yeah.
um, it seems like it's making the crypto market, creep up. But who knows? I mean, all the volatility with all the tariff tariff one day, no tariff the next,
Uh-huh.
you know, and it's definitely shaking things up. So we
Solano,
already,
Dennis, yeah. Bought in at 17. Good for you, man.
um,
I won't tell you what I'm in, but I'm not into meme coins. I will tell you that much right now. I'm more a blockchain kind of guy.
all right. I want to talk about there's something I found today when I was searching around LinkedIn. Somebody was talking about Monceau Auto, and this is obviously a European company,
I've
but
heard of
I really like this. Now, what they're doing is they're taking classic Mercedes cars and
Oh yeah,
making them electric.
yeah.
Yeah, so it says here Monceau ESL. So, like I was mentioning, I'd had a 450 SL back many, many years ago, and this is the body style it was. Okay, and anyways, it just sharp looking cars, very classic, and just a lot of things you can do. Here's a picture of a whole bunch of them that have been redone. But you see here, we got the electric motor in there. Changing it up, got the charging cable there on the side.
Where are they mounting the
It's
batteries?
I really not sure where that's going. We'll see if it tells us anything. Documented dismantling the traditional engine and fuel system, replaced with fully electric drivetrain and adequate battery packs. The suspension axles, brake system, and other parts are also replaced. They were never intended to have electric drive, so converting them can be a challenge. We make sure all new components can fit within the existing frame. Let's see. It's just interesting looking at these cars, seeing them all electric. I'm curious what they're spending on each car. I would not be surprised if they're spending 25, 30,000 um, dollars on um, redoing one of these, maybe even more. But I mean,
Oh, I bet. Yeah, they
yeah, if you were buying
they're
the
not giving
equip
any. They're not.
the new version, of an SL, I think they start around 110, go up to about 150,
So what are
probably
they
even
asking
more
for
than that.
these? Have they
Yeah, they're
said?
not, they're just converting them. They're just doing conversions. It's
Right.
not
Yeah, but
necessarily,
what are they charging for the conversion? Have they said?
let's see. Let's look at the online store. Let's see what we learned,
Okay.
maybe. Dum dum dum. Um, well, I'm not real sure where this goes.
Yeah.
It,
Probably
it's
not where you
really,
want it to
but
go.
it's part of Dassault Systems.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh
um,
well.
yeah, not real sure
Oh well.
where that is
They're
going.
they're not alone in that. I mean, there's a couple of there's shops here in the U.S. and there's shops in England that take these. In fact, I think the royal family has a couple of those where they've turned over their Jags or whatever they were and had them converted to electric. So um, it happens, and there's a market for it. And if you love that, that old classic car, there's some old classic cars from the 30s and 40s that I would love to have the resources to get a hold of and remove all the dust and redo them, or rust I should say, and redo them, and and make them a classic electric, because some of those designs in the 30s and the 40s are just you know are classic. I'm sorry, I don't no other word to call it. So
Well, the thing is, like Bobby is saying here, with the prices of batteries and electric motors becoming more and more affordable, it only makes sense you're going to see a lot more of this
yeah.
because it's just going to be reasonable. I mean, we start to get to the point where it'd be almost cheaper to take a ICE vehicle when the engine blows out and just go ahead and convert it. I mean,
Yeah.
we're getting close to that kind of pricing because it's basically the same cost. I
Well,
mean,
yeah, and with
it's
the
not much difference anymore.
yeah, there are companies that are now starting to, I don't know how widespread it is at this point, but offer skateboards, and you can buy
Right.
the skateboard, which is essentially everything from the floorboard down is, and out is electric, and you just take whatever body, you know, and maybe whatever modification you make, and set the new body on, or in this case, the old classic body. So that, yeah, that, fine, that would be great.
Yep. Anyways, I could have kept going over more Elon hate articles. There's
Oh,
no shortage of them. Oh my God.
there is
Everybody's basically
no
expressing the same
shortage.
opinion.
Just
Um,
type into our search engine Tesla and see, how,
oh God.
and that's only a fraction of them because I set the limit to show 10, the most 10 recent. But like I said, I did, I think something like 37 stories this morning were negative articles, mainly negative articles on Tesla. And that doesn't
Um,
include all the YouTubes
yeah.
that
So
are out there.
Bobby's saying we should convert the Toyota Mirai. They're giving them away. So
Yeah,
in if you didn't see the episode yesterday, we were talking about this. There's a
yeah.
70% discount currently going on in California.
Oh,
You can get them
it's
for
incredible.
$17,000 and get $15,000 worth of free hydrogen. So the Ukraine military has been buying these things up, and they've been turning them into they've been automating them and using them as suicide
Car
bomb.
bombs.
Yeah, car
Yeah.
bombs. Yeah, and anyways, with no driver obviously,
Is
but the
is is
hydrogen amplifies the explosions apparently.
yeah. Are you,
And
is that what they used to get that, Russian in, Moscow yesterday or day before
I doubt
yesterday?
it. I doubt it, but it is funny to see the actual uses of some things that aren't really what was designed to be.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, all right, guys. Well, that's all we had to cover for today. We've gone on long enough,
Yeah,
folks.
we've
Thanks for
ranted
watching.
and raged
Oh
against
yeah,
Elon enough for one day.
yeah. Anyways, all right. We'll be back next
Hang
Tuesday,
in there,
folks.
America. We'll get through this.
There you go, Bill. All right,
And we're sorry,
everyone.
the rest of the world, we're putting you through this as well. So.
All right, guys. I'll be back next week.